Did you know there's a coastal gem in Puglia that's stealing the spotlight from Italy's famous towns? And today I will bring you on a walking tour where this real-life paradise, where you'll find ancient walls hugging the sea, tall cathedrals telling centuries-old stories, and yes, the gelato is a religious experience. Welcome to Monopoli, a stunning destination that, I promise you, should be at the top of your travel bucket list. And buckle up, because this journey is packed with quirks, charm, and maybe a few misadventures, because, what's a trip without those? Imagine wandering through charming cobblestone streets, exploring ancient fortified walls, and marveling at an iconic port, where colorful fishing boats float peacefully in crystal-clear waters. And this is what we will do throughout this video. Telling you why Monopoli should be on your travel bucket list is one thing, but showing you why is another thing altogether. So, walk with me for the next 20 minutes, and I will make you want to change your itinerary to Italy, to add this town onto it. And remember to subscribe if you have not done so, and hit that notification bell as well. Monopoli coastal town sits right on the Adriatic Sea in Puglia, in the heel of Italy's boot. And it's a small town, compact and intimate. With around 50,000 residents, Monopoli is known as a working town, and it's not one of those over-polished tourist hubs, but it's authentic, alive, and just waiting to be explored. Did you know that Monopoli dates back to 500 BCE, when it was a key port for both the Greeks and Romans? And you can still see hints of its ancient walls and bastions scattered around. Nestled on the Puglian coastline, Monopoli offers a mix of sandy beaches, rugged cliffs, and rolling countryside inland. And it's compact enough to explore on foot, and it has plenty of hidden gems that reward a bit of wandering. From the parking lot near the harbor, we walked towards the town center, and this is Largo Fontanella, a delightful communal square, and for me it's the town's living room. Picture it, little kids playing and elderly men arguing passionately over a game of chess. And if I lived here, I'd probably spend half my day people watching and pretending to write a novel. This square gives you a sense of what Monopoli is all about, which is community, connection, and charm. And don't be mistaken, it's not fancy at all, but it's real, and there's something so comforting about that. As we turn the first corner, we come upon the Church of San Francis of Assisi. This is a beautiful little church and it's tucked away, almost like it's waiting to surprise you. And the exterior is rather simple, but I find it elegant. It's not one of those massive cathedrals that take your breath away with grandeur, it's more understated, like a quiet, peaceful moment, like I said, frozen in time. And what do you think? Inside, it's just as serene. And did you know this church dates back to the 13th century? Now, let's head towards the touristy area, as I still have plenty to show you, and we only have about 15 minutes left in this video. But take it slow, because, honestly, Monopoli is the kind of town you don't rush through. Similar to every other Italian town we have featured so far, every turn has a story, and every alley holds a secret. And you just have to let it reveal itself. This is Via Giuseppe Garibaldi, one of Monopoli's most important streets. This is Via Giuseppe Garibaldi, one of Monopoli's most important streets. This is Via Giuseppe Garibaldi, one of Monopoli's most important streets. This is Via Giuseppe Garibaldi, one of Monopoli's most important streets. This is Via Giuseppe Garibaldi, one of Monopoli's most important streets. This is Via Giuseppe Garibaldi, one of Monopoli's most important streets. This is Via Giuseppe Garibaldi, one of Monopoli's most important streets. This is Via Giuseppe Garibaldi, one of Monopoli's most important streets. This is Via Giuseppe Garibaldi, one of Monopoli's most important streets. This is Via Giuseppe Garibaldi, one of Monopoli's most important streets. This is Via Giuseppe Garibaldi, one of Monopoli's most important streets. This is Via Giuseppe Garibaldi, one of Monopoli's most important streets. This is Via Giuseppe Garibaldi, one of Monopoli's most important streets. This is Via Giuseppe Garibaldi, one of Monopoli's Don't let its calm vibe fool you, because this street has seen centuries of life unfold. And back in the day, it was a bustling route connecting the town's major landmarks, and even today, it's one of those streets where life just happens. Did you know that Monopoli Old Town, which we're slowly wandering into, dates back over 1,000 years? And through it all, it has managed to hold on to its soul. And what I love about this part of town is how it connects you to all these layers of history. Did you notice how narrow these alleys are? Well, these aren't just charming, but they were designed this way centuries ago, to protect the town from invaders. Pirates, to be exact. And yes, Monopoli was a major port back in the day, and those pesky pirates would have to navigate these labyrinth-like streets, often getting lost or cornered by the locals. Before we get too carried away with the main sights, let me show you something a little smaller but just as enchanting, the Church of San Giuseppe and its surroundings. It's a tiny church tucked away in the old town, almost like it's hiding in plain sight. And honestly, if you're not paying attention, you might just walk right past it. As we approached, the first thing that caught my eye was its charming simplicity. The vibe here is totally different from Rotondo. And if want to find out more about Rotondo, the most beautiful village in Puglia, then click on the pop-up banner at the top right corner of your screen. The street leading up to the church is like something resembling an old postcard. And just like in that old postcard, the area around the church has this peaceful vibe, like time stands still here. In my mind, it's the kind of spot where you'd expect to see someone sitting on a bench, flipping through a newspaper, or chatting with their neighbor about what's for dinner. Would you agree? But like I said, in Italy, every turn reveals something amazing. And suddenly that old postcard makes way to an Instagram spot, worthy of 1 million views. Honestly, isn't that the essence of Italy? Where life slows down to its most beautiful moments. Gradually, the narrow streets opened up into this amazing piazza, known as Piazza Giuseppe Garibaldi. And what a perfect little slice of Italian life this square is. It is framed by beautiful historic buildings and cute little cafes, lining the edges of the piazza. From the piazza, there's this beautiful arched doorway that immediately catches your eye. And it's whispering, "Come on, there's something magical on the other side." Naturally, we couldn't resist, so we walked through it. And let me tell you, the view waiting on the other side was straight out of a painting. And see if for yourself. One moment, we were in this charming, lively piazza, and the next, we were greeted by the gentle sound of waves lapping against the boats, the salty tang of the sea in the air, and an open view of Monopoli Old Port. The Old Port in Monopoli is small, but you can feel its history everywhere you look. And this isn't just any old port, as it's been here since Monopoli's earliest days as a bustling maritime hub, trading with ports across the Adriatic and beyond. This area is called Porto Antico, and it is an incredible, timeless picture of Monopoli maritime history. And you can almost feel the centuries of life that have passed through these waters, like fishermen, merchants, sailors, even pirate. And just imagine the stories these docks could tell. The buildings that line the waterfront have this beautiful aged charm, with stone facades weathered by centuries of sea breeze. And it's quintessential Italy. We are currently in the oldest part of Monopoli Harbour, and here, you'll find some of the most iconic views of Monopoli, starting with the ancient city walls that frame the harbour. And these walls, built during the medieval and Renaissance periods, have stood strong against centuries of storms and invasions. To our right, Castello Carlo V rises above the scene, a majestic fortress that seems to keep a protective watch over the port. And built in the mid-16th century, this castle was designed to defend the town from pirate attacks and invaders. Actually, I am craving for a gelato now, and in order not to think about it, let me pause here for a moment and give you 5 reasons why Monopoli is a place that absolutely belongs on your travel bucket list. First of all, it has an authenticity that's hard to find in more tourist-saturated destinations. And what I mean by that is that here, you'll experience a true Italian coastal town, where life moves at its own pace, and the charm comes naturally, not from staged attractions. Monopoli ancient walls, its historic harbour, and landmarks like Castello Carlo V and the stunning Cathedral of the Most Holy Mary of Mardia, which we will show you later, if you stick around, tell the story of a town that has weathered centuries of change. And walking through these streets, you're stepping into a living history book. Well, at least, that is how it makes me feel. The second reason is obvious. Monopoli is postcard perfect, with its whitewashed old town, turquoise waters, and picturesque harbours. The views around Old Port are breathtaking, and the nearby beaches, like the one we are walking to, are some of the most stunning in Puglia. And you'll find yourself reaching for your camera again and again. The third reason is also why people love to travel to Italy, and it is, of course, to enjoy the delicious Italian cuisine. And if you're a foodie, Monopoli will spoil you. From fresh seafood caught right in the harbour to traditional Puglian dishes, the town's culinary scene is unforgettable. And don't even get me started on the gelato, because it's simply some of the best you'll ever taste. Another reason why I love to travel to the smaller towns in Italy is rather personal. For me, the locals here have a warmth and generosity that make you feel right at home. And whether it's the fishermen chatting with you at the port, the shopkeepers in the old town, or the friendly waiters at a restaurant, you'll leave Monopoli with more than just memories. In fact, you'll leave with a connection. And finally, Monopoli appears to have been built to satisfy the requirements of the perfect Instagram spot. It can be anything, from a simple doorway to a tiny alley, but there is always this small corner that will make you stop and reach for your camera. Like this spot right here, and this is near the Church of Saint Vitus Martyr. For sure, while Italian towns like Positano and Cinque Terre are breathtaking, they've become major tourist magnets. Meanwhile, Monopoli offers the same kind of beauty but with fewer crowds. We're now strolling down towards Cala Porta Vecchia, or as I like to call it, Monopoli Beach with a view. And right before us is a picture-perfect slice of Italian paradise. This beach, nestled right at the foot of Monopoli Historic Centre, has a vibe that feels straight out of a movie set, because, honestly, where else do you get to swim with a centuries-old backdrop of city walls and watchtowers? Now, here's a fun fact. Cala Porta Vecchia gets its name from the ancient Aragonese gate that once stood here, guarding the town's entrance. And it's easy to imagine knights and merchants passing through centuries ago, right where families and travelers now lay their towels and bask in the sun. Isn't that such a surreal contrast? This is the bell tower of the Cathedral of Monopoli, and it does not take long before it catches your eye. Just a few steps from the cathedral's bell tower is the Church of Purgatory, built in the 17th century, during a time when devotion to the souls in purgatory was a strong part of Catholic tradition. The facade is understated, with elegant Baroque details, but it's the door that immediately catches your attention. Why? Because it's surrounded by skulls and crossbones carved into the stone. But from afar, the bell tower is what you'll spot first, rising high above the rooftops of the old town, its beige stone glowing softly in the afternoon light. And it's like the cathedral is calling us to come closer, guiding us through the maze of narrow streets. And there it is, the Cathedral Maria Santissima della Medea, standing proud and imposing at the center of its square. Construction began all the way back in the 12th century, but here's the twist: it was left incomplete for years. According to local legend, in the 12th century, a raft carrying a painting of the Virgin Mary, known as the Madonna della Medea, miraculously floated into Monopoli harbor. And it's said that the beams of wood from the raft were used to complete the cathedral's roof. So, how's that for divine intervention? We were not able to visit the interior of the cathedral as there was a wedding celebration ongoing there. Instead, we took to the small alleys next to the cathedral and made our way deeper into the old town. I was really craving for a gelato, but it seems that we are leaving the commercial areas and venturing deeper into the residential part of town. And I seriously think we are also lost now because my husband, who is usually very confident about the paths and directions to take, is clearly walking in circles. So, I asked him, "Are we lost?" And of course, he would not admit it. So, I just followed quietly. The alleys were narrow, and the building facades were tall, making me feel that we were stuck inside a labyrinth. But then, we exited near the monastery of St. Martin. And this former monastery is tucked away in a quieter part of town. But for me, the monastery is perfectly situated in a picturesque part of Monopoli, surrounded by cobblestone streets that seem to spiral away from the building in every direction. The monastery was originally established by the Benedictine monks in the 1600s, during a period when monastic life played a vital role in the spiritual and economic development of the region. There is another understated yet historically significant church nearby, and it is the San Leonardo Church. And there is also the more prominent Church of Saints Peter and Paul, a stunning example of Baroque architecture, built in the 17th century during a period when Monopoli was flourishing both economically and culturally. And then we made another turn onto another alley, and suddenly we were back into the crowded area of Monopoli, and suddenly we were not lost anymore. Here there are lots of shops selling wines from the regions, artisanal boutiques, and gastronomic treasure troves selling olive oils, pastas, and handmade terali. And this is the iconic civic tower of Monopoli, and this is also where we finally stop and I finally get to enjoy my gelato. Have I convinced you yet? From Monopoli charming piazza and timeless churches to the inviting beaches and bustling port, this town isn't just a place you visit, but it's a place you experience, a place that stays with you long after you leave. So, what are you waiting for? Start planning your own adventure to this hidden gem of Puglia. And if you enjoyed this journey with us, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell so you'll never miss another adventure. And click on the link on your screen to watch our video about Loca Rotondo, another gem in Puglia that you absolutely can't miss. Until next time, keep exploring, keep dreaming, and we'll see you in the next destination.